Today we have the talk after meditation, and then we want to wish uh, all those who are in pain and suffering to be free from that and come back to normal, regular life, those who are in pain and afflicted with this virus. And we want to also wish all those who are helping to recover or also return to their regular life, and they all be well, happy and peaceful. With this thought, let us recite this metta, and then we meditate till 10 o'clock, and then after at 10, I start my talk on Vesak Day. Let us begin with this. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere, neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hate or resentment, whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desire for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. Once again, friends, this is our earnest wish, especially today, and not only the Vesak day, but also on this very important day, we must remember all those who have passed away. This is not a memorial day, but this is the time we have to remember that so many beings have passed away. So many beings are suffering, and so many beings are suffering along with them, relatives, friends, and so forth. And we want all of them to be free from their suffering and have a very normal life as they used to have before. This is our very sincere, honest wish of friendliness for their well-being and happiness. As we mentioned many times already, when we make this wish together as one body with one mind and one intention, that is very lofty, altruistic, marvelous, selfless wish, without knowing who these people are, where they live, how they suffer, their status we don't know, without knowing any particular person, we know that this virus is spreading. Only through media we know so many have affected, so many recovered, so many passed away, and with this unawareness of any particular person, we make this wish in general with utmost sincerity, honesty, and wish all of them who are suffering be free from that suffering and return to normal health. And then we want to do our mindfulness aspect of this meditation. First is metta, then mindfulness. In this mindfulness training, as we breathe in, we pay attention to the breath, pure and simple, without trying to control breath or verbalize or conceptualize anything about the breath. We simply pay undivided attention to the breath. As we breathe in, we notice inhaling, and we notice the inhaling breath touching the rims of our nostrils, and we notice the lungs expanding and lower abdomen expanding. As we breathe out, lower abdomen contract, chest area contract, and we feel the breath leaving our nostrils, and then that disappear. New breath arises doing the same thing. And then when we pay attention to the breath, one more thing we notice, that is the pause, very tiny brief pause between inhaling and exhaling. Once breath is exhaled, it is gone, new breath we inhale. And then we feel the breath touching the rims of our nostrils, chest area, abdominal area. We feel the expansion and contraction, these areas, and we feel the, the breath, and then we perceive the breath mentally, and then we pay attention to the breath, and we become conscious as well. And these are also changing as breath goes in and out. When we inhale, feeling, perception, attention, consciousness change. As we exhale, they change. Once we experience them when we are inhaling, will no longer be there when we exhale. So they appear and disappear. What we feel when they appear will disappear when we breathe out. So, and then we feel the body becoming calm, relaxed and peaceful. The breath becomes calm, relaxed and peaceful. The mind becomes calm, relaxed and peaceful. When these three parts become relaxed, then we don't have any agitation, excitement, and we can easily let go of whatever greed arises in our mind. The breath is so valuable, most important thing, and yet even that breath when leaves, we let it leave. When it goes, we let it go. That is the first uh, attitude we will have towards the leaving the breath from our lungs. And then we have no any resentment or anger towards anything, any being. We simply stay focusing mind on the breath. At that moment, the loving, friendly feeling takes root in our pure, clean mind. That is very powerful moment. And then joy arises because of this disappearance of greed and resentment. Then happiness arises, and then concentration arises. When concentration arises, the mind becomes so sharp and clear because the background we have already cleared up, and then concentration arises. When concentration arises, that concentrated mind can see what we have already mentioned, like feeling, perception, thoughts, and consciousness, uh, changing much faster than we think and we know. That means every minute part of these experiences change, disappear. Friends, we must remember this is what we call impermanence. One thing in our life we experience that does not have a counterpart is impermanence. Impermanence does not have a counterpart. All others can have duality, for impermanence cannot have another part to match it because that is it. And we experience this very sincerely with impartial state of mind, and while experiencing it, we continue our meditation till 10 o'clock. Watch, see the time. Dukkha patsāca niddukkha bhaya patsāca nibbhaya soka patsāca nissoka hontu sabbe pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear-struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. Friends, this is our very earnest wish that we make every day with utmost sincerity, honesty, without any reservation. We make this wish and we want all beings to be free from pain and suffering. Now, friends, I like to start my talk on this day. I uh, want to spend as my time as economically as possible. Uh, the things that I have to say to see how great the Buddha is enormous. Trying to talk about the greatness of the Buddha is like a little fly trying to empty the ocean with his feathers. And my attempt to talk about the greatness of the Buddha is exactly like that. Buddha is described as the embodiment of wisdom and compassion. That is true from every part of his teaching that we examine. What I am doing is taking some aspects of his teaching to show the Buddha's greatness. When he taught the Dhamma for 45 years, it is said that he gave 84,000 sermons, approximately 5 sermons a day, short or long. That is the traditional belief. Whatever the number is, he uh, gave thousands of sermons from the time he attained enlightenment and passed away. We celebrate his birth, enlightenment, and passing away, as all of us know, that took place on one single day. That means the same day he attained enlightenment, the same day he was born, that means in the month of uh, May, on a full moon night, full moon day, under uh, trees in the Lumbini forest garden. And then he attained enlightenment under a tree on a full moon day of Vesak in the month of May. And then he passed away under trees on a full moon day in the month of May. And the name Vesak comes from Pali word Vesakha, the name of that month. This month, Vesakha, differs from time to time according to Western calendar. Vesak does not occur the same day and everywhere. It differs from place to place. Anyway, when these three events took place on 3 different Vesak days, we all celebrate one to commemorate all the 3. That is, in short, the significance of Vesak. This is the day, the best day of the year to talk about the Buddha's greatness. We have been talking about various things through our teaching, and this day we must focus our mind on the greatness of the Buddha who brought the message of peace to the world. When he delivered sermons, he showed us how great he was, that he taught the sermon impartially, and he said many times, I do not teach the Dhamma to increase the number of people, my followers, adherents. I do not teach the Dhamma to persuade somebody to give up his or her belief. I do not teach the Dhamma to convert somebody to what I teach. But friends, I am teaching the truth which does not belong to me. This truth he taught is impartially he taught and asked us to experience within oneself. And he said the one quality of the Dhamma is to experience by every wise individual by himself or herself. Now that was his attitude, that was the Dhamma he taught. When he taught the Dhamma, why did he give so many thousands of sermons? He did not teach thousands of different things. He taught only one thing or four things. Four things are Four Noble Truths, dependent origination. These are the things he taught. But why he gave so many sermons to explain these two things, if we put them as two, normally we say only Four Noble Truths he taught. Why did he give so many sermons, repeating again and again? If you look at the teachings of the Buddha, the he did not repeat the same word all the time. And he repeated these sermons, explained them so many times because of the asaya, anusaya of listeners. I mentioned in our Dhamma talk on dependent origination what asayas are, what anusayas are. Asayas are influx, anusayas are underlying tendencies. Each person has various asayas and anusayas in addition to their hindrances and fetters. And Buddha was able to see a person's state of mind, how much asaya he has, how much anusaya he has, how much hindrances he has, how much fetters he has. And seeing all these differences, as we all know, as Buddha also mentioned, nanatta kaya, nanatta sanya. Every different individuals have different mentalities. He was so great that he was able to identify, recognize individuals' mentality. We see sometimes among hundreds of people sitting in audience listening to his sermons, he would give a sermon that everybody thinks that he addressed that person, that man or woman. And sometimes he would wait for a beggar, leper, or little girl or boy. He would in the audience there may be kings, ministers, rich merchants, and so on, very powerful, influential politicians. Thousands of them may be in the audience, but he would wait until that little girl, little boy, or the beggar comes to the audience to listen to his Dhamma. Why? That individual is ready for the attainment of enlightenment. How poor, what the status of that person is, how old that person is. That is a very great attitude, very noble attitude. So, uh, he saw individuals' mentality. At the same time, as I mentioned earlier, he respected individuals' integrity, personality, freedom. He did not force his teeth down through their throat. He he let people experience or enjoy their freedom. Sometimes people came to him challenging in debates. One such incident I like very much to repeat. This is one of my favorite. A man called Upali. He is a follower of another religious tradition. He came to challenge the Buddha, and he boasted before he came to see the Buddha that he would, just like an elephant, take a piece of leaves, a bunch of leaves, and shake and throw here and there. Similarly, he said, I go to see Gautama Buddha and I shake him up in debate and defeat him. With this intention, he came and started debating with the Buddha. As the debate was progressing, this man slowly changed his attitude. So he gave Upali what you call progressive teaching. What is the Buddha's progressive teaching? He first talked on giving. This is a very simple thing. Talk on giving. The benefit of giving, how one should give, what kind of mentalities that person should have, and so forth. Talk about giving. Then he talked about virtues, sila. And then he talked about when you practice dana and sila, outcome would be taking birth in heavens. As I mentioned in one of my talks earlier, in order to go to heaven, these are two of the three things that you have to do. Giving and practicing what you call telling the truth, and being patient, not getting angry, and so forth. So he gave Dana Kata, Sila Kata, Sagga Kata, how to go to heaven. Then when he explained the danger, degradation, and defilements in sensual pleasures, and the blessings of renunciation. Now, not too many people like to hear the danger, degradation, and harm of sensual pleasures, because that is what people like to have. But he simply want to present the truth, and he said, he explained to this man the pleasure, asada, adinava, the danger, degradation, and what you call of sensual pleasures. And then he mentioned the benefit of renunciation, that you can start from very small renunciation, minor renunciation, but that is his particular method of teaching Dhamma to somebody who came to meet him for the first time without any hesitation. And then, as he was teaching Upali all these things, his mind, because Upali was listening to the sermon very attentively, with undivided attention, not very mindfully, but undivided attention. He did not know even what mindfulness is. When he was paying attention and listening to him very carefully, his mind was ready and receptive and free from hindrances. He was so great, clear, pure, his teaching did not cause him to have hindrances like anger and so on. And mind became free from hindrances. Then elated and had confident confidence in the Buddha and his teaching. Then he taught him, when the mind was that ready, he taught him the teaching, what is called the especially uh, the teaching that only the Buddhas give. That is Buddha's prerogative teaching. Only Buddha's fully enlightened person can make that kind of teaching. Not somebody who is partially enlightened or unenlightened is out of the question. What is the special teaching of Buddhas? That is called Four Noble Truths. Four Noble Truths. Uh, as you know, suffering, origin of suffering, end of suffering, path leading to the end of suffering. When Buddha was giving this teaching, just as a clean dye evenly uh, spread in on the cloth, household, the Upali's mind became spotless, immaculate vision of the Dhamma arose in him. The, the mind became so clear and pure, it is just like the color, pure, clean, white piece of cloth takes color, any color. Similarly, as his mind was so pure and clean, when the Buddha was teaching Dhamma, he absorbed it so well that his mind became spotless, immaculate. Mind has he has the vision, which is spotless and immaculate. Then he saw uh, when he saw this, the Buddha continue his teaching. Then he saw Upali's mind is uh, attained to the Dhamma and saw the Dhamma. He saw the Dhamma, he attained to the Dhamma, and he understood the Dhamma, fathomed the Dhamma, he crushed beyond doubt. That means he attained the stream entry. When he attained the stream entry and did away with perplexity and gained integrity and became independent of others to understand the Dhamma. The Buddha's greatness is not limited to that. When Upali went home, and Upali said, now I am very busy, I have to go home. And he said, however, I am going to stop all my donations to my previous religious place, previous religious teachers. Then Buddha said, Upali, if you stop your support to them, how are they going to live? All these years, they depended on you for their living. Now, after listening to me, if you go back and stop all your support to them, how are they going to live? Therefore, don't do that. You continue your support. Then Upali said, Venerable Sir, I was so convinced with your elegance, your the skill of teaching Dhamma, I took refuge in you. Now I have heard that people say that you ask people to give donation only to you and your Sangha, your centers. Now I heard from your own mouth with my own ears that you are asking me to continue my donation to other religious places. For that reason, I take refuge again for the second time, he said. Then uh, he was so convinced and went and continued his support, uh, and he became a very pious religious person. Now, this example is one single, very tiny part of his greatness. And then, when somebody from another tradition came to see him, he did not grab him very quickly and ask him to become his follower. He would say to that person, since you have been following another religious tradition, when you come to me and learn the Dhamma, I want to watch you and you want to watch me and my teaching. Therefore, you must go 4 months probation period, undergo 4 months probation period. During that time, you can see whether I am genuinely sincere person, enlightened person. You can use your eyes and ears to watch me. If I was newly ordained and very quickly became very pious and so on, or I can see you whether you are very sincere. Some individuals said, Venerable, I don't have to wait. I can wait not only for 4 months, I can wait for 4 years under your guidance. So uh, then uh, he was very generous in that sense. There is another incident. I'm simply picking up some incident from here and there to show Buddha's greatness. Another incident is there is a discourse in Dignikaya. Uh, Bharadwaj and another person, when the Buddha was uh, traveling, uh, two people were following. One was praising the Buddha, other was criticizing the Buddha. When they all reached the place they all were going, Buddha was leading, the others were following. While they were following the Buddha, going to the same place, one was criticizing the Buddha, other was praising the Buddha. When they all went to that place, I don't remember the place right now, they all began to talk after meals about the qualities of the Buddha. Venerable Ananda said, Venerable Sir, all the way, such and such a person was criticizing Venerable you, and other person was praising the Buddha. Then Buddha said, Ananda, if somebody was criticizing me, listen very carefully. He may have a point. He may have a point. He may be telling the truth. You watch. Be very mindfully listen to him. If he says something utterly blatant lie, a wrong thing, you may not get upset. Because if you get upset, you cannot hear what he says. You listen. And if he is completely, utterly wrong, then you tell him, friend, I don't see these things in him. That's all you see. If he tells something right, you say, yes, I also have seen that. Yes, that is wrong. But don't get angry. but, but listen very carefully. So, uh, therefore, uh, it is very important for us to remember uh, the Buddha's attitude towards people. There was another man. This story is very famous. His name is Akkosana, Akkosaka. Akkosaka Bharadwaja. Akkosaka meaning in English is one who does not get angry. But this person, unfortunately, was an embodiment of anger. He was angry with the Buddha because one of his own relatives became Buddha's own follower. So this man was very upset with the Buddha. So one day he went to the Buddha and scolded him using all kind of things, calling him names, accusing him for this and that. And until his angry state or anger subsided, he went on scolding the Buddha. Buddha listened very carefully. We call him one who is a blessed one. We call him blessed one. Why we call him blessed one? Not he was blessed by somebody. He blessed himself. How did, how did he bless himself? When ups and downs in the world, all the vicissitudes, gain, loss, fame, defame, uh, and uh, joy, sorrow, happiness, and all these vicissitudes happen in the world, in the life, in one's life. Many people, when they gain, they are happy. When they lose, they are unhappy. When they are famous, they are happy. When they are not famous, not happy. Uh, then when something happened to them to make them happy, they are happy. When something happened to make them sad, they are unhappy. Now, this kind of changes taking place in people's mind according to the way things change. But the Buddha, whether he gains or lost, he remained equanimous. No partiality. He did not change a bit due to circumstantial changes. He remained quiet. So when this man scolded him, Buddha with mindfulness he listened to him, with patience he listened to him, utmost compassion he listened to him. He knew how much suffering this man has, so he was listening to him very carefully. And at the end he asked, Mister, he did not straight away talk or attack him in return. He straight away didn't talk anything about anything. He simply asked, Mr. Akosaka, you have friends and relatives? He said, yes, I have many friends. Do you visit them? Yes, I visit them. When you visit them, do you go empty-handed or take something with you? Of course, I take some gift to give him. If the person did not accept your gift, what would you do? He said, well, I take home and enjoy with my family. Then he said, Buddha said, similarly, mister, you gave me a gift. I don't accept it. You take it and enjoy with the family. So, such a great thought state of mind he had. He did not get upset. Another time, a woman called Chincha, she was a very famous prostitute. And Buddha had many enemies. That means when he was becoming very popular, some religious groups became unpopular and they began to lose their gains. And therefore they are very upset. They all plotted to make Buddha very unpopular, thought of slinging mud, correct assassination, so to say. So they plotted and asked this woman to uh, go to uh, the the, the go to towards the Jetavana monastery, and one day she went with big put a lot of sticks and so forth under her clothes and tied it to make her look like pregnant. And the Buddha was giving a sermon in front of many, many people, very great people, kings, ministers, politicians, and ordinary people. She just appeared in front of them and said, huh, now you are like a saint talking, teaching your Dhamma. Look what you have done to me. I am expecting a baby, your baby. You have to prepare for when I deliver the baby. Uh, you have to take care of that. The Buddha did not say anything, he says, sister, only you and I know that. As soon as he said this woman got so upset, so what do you call surprised, and when she tried to return, she stumbled or something. The whole bundle of stick fell down in front of all these people. Then people began to beat her. Buddha said, no, 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 don't beat her. Don't beat her. She is a very innocent woman. Something must have been behind her. Let her go. And Buddha taught her Dhamma. Another woman called Sundari, what she did also because of the people's instigation, supporting, she went towards the monastery in the evening when people returned home after listening to Dhamma's talk. She would go to monastery. So she would sleep somewhere outside the monastery gate. Monastery was always closed, locked after in the evening, and there were gatekeepers. They all locked it. But she would be sleeping outside the monastery, and next morning when people go to see the Buddha, she would be coming from the monastery home. Then if people ask, where have you been all this so early morning? I had an appointment with the Buddha last night. She would say that. After some months, these people who schemed killed her and buried her body right behind the Jetavana monastery, covered with flowers and so on. And then began to spread rumor that Buddha had an affair with this woman, and when she became pregnant, they all got together and killed. And then people began to believe. And they said, this Gautama is a rogue and his disciples are thieves and so forth. They went for alms. Instead of giving alms, they threw rocks and scolded and so forth at them. Some monks came and reported to the Venerable Ananda said, Venerable sir, this is horrible. We must leave this place. Go somewhere. Buddha said, Ananda, where to go? Venerable said, this country is very big. We can go somewhere. If this happened there, something like this happened there, what shall we do? Venerable said, we go to another place. If something happened there, then we have go to. Then Buddha said, Ananda, running away from problem is not the solution. Solution is to stay there and solve the problem where it arose. In 7 days, this all will disappear. You don't worry. Exactly in 7 days, those who killed her, they got drunk. Normally people who kill are not very sober, normal-minded people. They themselves are sick in some ways. And they got drunk and got in the bar, they began to argue and then they began to talk to each other and said, you remember the way how we killed so and so? That instant, king's spies caught him and then they gave punishment. Anyway, he, Buddha was not upset, not disappointed. He was so firm, confident in his own blessed mental state, in his own supremely enlightened state. This is called Keenang Puranang Navang Natti Sambhavang Viratta Chitta Ayatike Bhavasmin Te Keen Bija Aviruli Chanda Nibbandi Dhira Yathanda Padipo. Those who have destroyed their previous karma and did not commit any new karma pass away very much like a flame that blows out. Once the flame blows out, you cannot say where the flame was gone. Similarly, his mind, while he was alive, his mind was, all his defilements completely burned and disappeared, and there was no any scruple of defilement in his mind. Mind was so pure. That is why he was able to uh, behave that way in front of all these people. And there is a very famous discourse uh, which has been quoted, used, explained, and at the same time, to the degree and extent it was explained and taught, discussed, to that extent it has been misunderstood. That discourse is called Kalama Sutta. Kalama Sutta. It was delivered in the same area where Mahasatipatthana Sutta was delivered in Kuru state, where people were considered to be very inquisitive, and learned people. When Buddha went there one day, the Kalamas, Kesaputtas, they were family of coming from the same tradition called Kesa. Therefore they are called Kesaputtas. They came to him and said, in the past, many religious people came to our country, this city. And each of them said, What they said was true, everything else was false. Did you come to tell us the same thing? Perhaps they might have said, if you came to tell us the same thing, we don't want to listen, we have enough, listen enough. Buddha said, no, I didn't come to tell you that. Then he gave a whole list of things that they should not believe. Uh, I think many of you who know the Kalama Sutra, the Sutra might know. Uh, don't believe in tradition, don't believe in the mere hearsay, don't believe in when the teacher is appear to be honest and so forth. He gave the whole list. And then finally, I don't want to spend a lot of time explaining that whole discourse. The misunderstanding is this. In this verse, Buddha said, don't ma pitaka sampadane. That means don't believe things because it is in the scriptures. In the scriptures. So people misinterpret that and say, don't believe in what I taught. That means don't believe even in me. If he wanted people not to believe in what he taught for 45 years, we must ask, why did he teach? If he asked people not to believe in what he taught, then why did he teach? That question arises from that misunderstanding. What he taught was, don't believe in scriptures and don't take all of them without investigating. Without investigating. Investigation of Dhamma is one of the factors of enlightenment. And Buddha, it is very famous saying that just like gold, piece of gold, you give to a goldsmith or you give to somebody. If you want to see whether it is a real gold or not, you cut it, burn it, put it on the anvil and hammer it, and run all kind of tests. And if the piece of metal stands all these tests, then you conclude that it is gold. Otherwise, you don't accept it. So, in the Kalama Sutta, what is said to us, like in other suttas, like the Vimansaka Sutta and so forth, don't accept anything on its face value or appearance, because everything that glitters is not gold. That is what the Buddha said in Samyutta Nikaya. When the fake gold comes to the market, the value of true gold will disappear because all looks like gold. And therefore, to see the real gold, you must run all the tests that you can think that is available. And then only can you conclude, yes, this is gold. Others are fake, the glittering. And therefore, similar thing he taught in the Kalama Sutta. And he also said, he questioned because Buddha wanted us to develop a questioning, inquisitive mentality. We are born with inquisitive, like monkeys. We are always trying to find out something new. That's what has been doing all the time, even now also, because it's virus, people are trying to find some vaccine. That is our mentality. As I mentioned, many people, when they suffer, they either go on suffering or go to seeking pleasure, but they don't develop faith. that this can be cured. So Buddha asks Kalamas, if you have greed, are you happy? No. If you have hatred, are you happy? No. If you have delusion, are you happy? No. But if you have a sense of letting go, generosity, are you happy? Yes. If you have metta, loving friendliness in your mind, are you happy? Yes. If you have wisdom to see the truth, when you see the truth, are you happy? Yes. That is why the Buddha said the, the tastiest of all the tastes is the truth. One day a demon called Alavaka asked the Buddha, such kings who have a sadhu tarang rasana. What is the tastiest of all the tastes? Buddha said, Satchang have sadhu tarang rasana. The truth is the tastiest of all the tastes. Is that what we normally hear? No. We hear the truth is bitter. Why truth is bitter? Because we have garbage in our mind. If the mind is clear and pure, truth is very, very tasty. So Buddha told Kalamas, look for the truth. How you look for the truth? You use your investigation. We are born with that ability, that capacity, that insight. We have to develop it. We develop it by using it. If you don't use it, it becomes an atrophy. You don't want to atrophize our intelligence, wisdom, inquisitive mind. Buddha wanted to rouse it. We have the potential, we have the power. Buddha want to nourish it, cultivate it. He won't encourage us to cultivate. So that is what the Buddha did in Kalama Sutta. He said, if you practice metta to all 10 directions, east, southeast, south, southwest, uh, west, northwest, north, northeast, up and down. These are the 10 directions. If you practice metta to living beings in all the 10 directions with pure and clean heart, with utmost sincerity and intention, are you happy? Buddha asked, are you happy? They said yes. So Kalamas, finally he is Kalama, if somebody does not believe in rebirth at all, does not believe, but if he does good things in this life, is he happy? Yes. Is he rewarded? Yes. If there is rebirth, when you are reborn, would you be happy? Yes, because I have done good things. If there is no rebirth, you will be happy here. If there is rebirth, you will be happy there. If you do something wrong, bad, living very unethical, immoral, very, very bad life, are you happy here? No. You are miserable, end up in jails and get killed by somebody else and live a very miserable life. if there is rebirth, you will suffer again. So the Buddha said, Kalamas, it doesn't matter whether there is rebirth or not. You do things, good things, right things, correct things, mindful things in this very life for your own happiness, peace, solace, and comfort. So, in uh, in Aparnaka Sutta, Buddha mentioned monks, when you go somewhere, people don't try to force your own vocabulary on them, don't force your own views on them. You just adapt yourself to that environment, their circumstances, and but tell the truth. Tell the truth. Regarding patience, there was a very famous monk called. This story is very popular. I'm just picking from things from here and there, just to show how great the Buddha is. There was a monk called Punna. He wanted to go to a place called Sunaparanta, where people are wild and committing crimes and rough and tough people. So when Buddha sent missionaries, this particular monk said, I want to go to Sunaparanta. Buddha said, Punna, people in Sunaparanta are very wild, very rough, tough, not very gentle. They might scold you. Punna said, Venerable Sir, how nice they are if they simply scold me without beating me up. Punna, if they beat you up, what are you going to do? Venerable Sir, it is very wonderful, very compassionate of them that they beat me up without killing me. Buddha said, Punna, if they kill you, Venerable Sir, many people are trying to kill themselves. And we live only one life and we will die anyway. If they kill me, how nice it is. This body, these five aggregates are so troublesome. I want to get rid of it. How wonderful they are. Buddha said, Punna, you are really my son. You have enough patience. Go. He tested. He tested missionaries before they went to certain places. Even the first 60 missionaries, he tested how patient they are, how kind they are, how mindful they are, how much metta they have, how much patience they have, how impartial they have, how much equanimity they practice. He tested all this. And then he said, don't try to push our Dhamma into through their throat. Then you see, we recite discourse every day. One sentence we said, this is called divinely dwelling here. Divinely dwelling here. That means practice metta. We can live divine life here. We don't have to die to go to divine life, to have a divine life. We can live divine life here by doing what he asked us to do. In this practice, the compassion and wisdom we see every day very clearly. And Buddha uh, was so humble, simple. There was a monk called Vakali. That person, before he became a monk, he was a layman. He had seen the Buddha. Buddha was so beautiful, handsome, majestic person, radiating love and compassion. He is actually worthy of seeing as a human being. All the most wonderful qualities he had. This Vakali was Vakali was seeing the Buddha very often, and finally he thought, I cannot see him enough as a layperson. I want to become a monk so that I can be close to him all the time. So he became a monk. And because out of faith, and wherever Buddha went, he also went. And when Buddha sat, he would be sitting somewhere or standing somewhere and watching the Buddha. One day, Buddha noticed this for many, many, many times. One day, Buddha asked Vakali, what are you doing? Venerable said, I cannot take my eyes away from you. You are so handsome, so beautiful. Your voice is so good, so wonderful. Your body radiates metta, compassion, wisdom. I cannot go away from you. Buddha said, Vakali, don't waste your time. This is five aggregates. This will grow old. This will decay. This will die. What can you get from these aggregates? It just appear. You don't see the Buddha here. It is just outer appearance. I'm just like a, palm tree cut from the bottom and cut and stand still until wind blows. So I'm like that. You cannot see me. But Vakali, I tell you the way to see me. Don't look at me. You see the Dhamma. You see the Dhamma. Meaning learn Dhamma and see the every word of Dhamma in you. Only friends, where is Dhamma? Can you find Dhamma in books, libraries, supermarkets? No. We can see Dhamma in us. We are Dhamma. Where is the suffering? Where is the cause of suffering? End of suffering. And the path leading to Noble Eightfold Path, where is that? All are in us. See that Dhamma. Go inside. Come and see. Come and see. Ehi Pasika, we say in the Buddha's language. Ehi Pasika. One of the qualities of Dhamma. Come and see. It's the Dhamma that invites us to come within. Ask every day. Am I greedy? Am I hateful? Am I jealousy? Ask. Oh, have I mindfulness? Have I metta? Do I have compassion? Do I have patience? Understanding? Ask the question. You see the Dhamma. You know, when the Buddha was going to pass away, Venerable Anand asked the Buddha, Venerable Sir, now we are going to pass away. There is no successor. Nowadays, people always asking me, who's my successor? Those days, Anand asked the Buddha, who is going to be your successor? Buddha said, Ananda, if somebody wants to be successor, let him be so. Even now, I don't think that I am the owner of the Sangha, community of monks and nuns. I'm not the owner. I'm not the leader. If anybody wants to lead, let them lead. But I tell you, Ananda, one thing. This Dhamma is there. That is my teacher. Dhamma is my teacher. I follow the Dhamma and attain this state. And if my teacher can be your teacher, that is what you follow. He did not claim the ownership of Dhamma. He did not claim the ownership of Sangha. He did not claim ownership of property. He did not claim for ownership of anything. In short, he taught only the phenomenon, the truth. Depending on this happens. When this is not, this does not happen. When this passes away, this passes away. That is what he taught, the truth. It is indisputable truth. It does not belong to one particular country, nation, religion, and so on. It is the universal truth he taught, cause and effect, the truth. I can talk for long, long time about the greatness of the Buddha, friends. I want to conclude finally that when the last meal was given to him by a man called Chunda, he gave a mushroom dinner, mushroom lunch, called Madhava, which like wild hogs, like that mushroom, that's called Sukra Madhava. People interpret it in many ways, but it was really, there is no Pali word for flesh. Madhav is not used for flesh in Pali. For flesh, Pali word is mangsa. You can see in 32 part of the body mangsa is used, not Madhava. Anyway, he gave this mushroom, wild mushroom, dana, lunch. It was so poisonous that Buddha had diarrhea, dysentery, and dehydrated for 7 days, and he was going to pass away because of this lunch. Buddha said to Ananda, when I pass away, people can accuse this man for giving me poisonous mushroom that caused my death. And therefore, Ananda, tell people the first dharana that Sujata gave me on the night I attained enlightenment, Sujata gave me milk rice dharana on the night I attained, the night just the before I went to the Bodhi tree, under the Bodhi tree to attain enlightenment. Before that, she gave me that dharana. And that dharana, and this dharana, this man gave me on my last day. That was my last dharana, that was my first dharana in my enlightened life. And these two dhanas are the greatest dhanas ever anybody has given me. He was so compassionate. He did not want people to say anything bad about this poor man. Also, after that, when he was going to pass away, a man called Subhadra came rushing to talk to the Buddha. Buddha was so weak and just going to pass away. 7 days without any food, losing his all liquid in his body. He is dehydrated, very weak. Ananda said, Subhadra, no, don't come. Buddha is very weak. Buddha overheard it and said, Ananda, let him come. He came and gave him a sermon and ordained him right away. That was his last ordination. Then another monk was meditating under a tree, and everybody came and reported to the Buddha, Venerable Sir, we all are so sad that you are passing away. So and so is sitting under a tree or meditating, as if nothing happening in the world. Well, your Buddha said, Ananda, that is my real son. He wants to attain liberation before my death. That is what you all should do, rather than crying and wailing and weeping and mourning, grieving. Do that. That was the greatness of the Buddha, friends, compassionate Buddha. And therefore, on this day, we all must try to emulate the qualities of the Buddha. We must all try to follow his principles. That is the way to respect the Buddha. Of course, we celebrate paying, offering flowers, big banners, and very many decorations, and so forth and so on. These are very beautiful things in out of faith we do. But the real thing is that he asked us to do, he wanted us to do, is to practice the Dhamma, live in accordance with the Dhamma. That will bring peace and happiness, not the flowers, not the flags, not anything else. Thank you very much. I am very happy to spend this time talking about little bit of the greatness of the Buddha. Now with this friend, I want to end this talk. We meditated and listened to short Dhamma talk only about the Buddha's greatness, and all this, I'm pretty sure, cleanse our heart, make our mind pure and clean, and arouse our spiritual urgency for us to follow the footprints of the Buddha. And with this, I want to wish, since we have acquired great deal of merits, we want to wish everybody who are suffering to be free from suffering. All those who have lost their relatives and friends, certainly as unenlightened individuals, have pain, grief, and may they all be free from that, seeing the truth of Dhamma. And those who are supporting these people to relieve them from their suffering, in various ways they support financially, physically, spiritually, and so on. May they all be courageous. May they have faith and trust and strength and good health to continue their wonderful service. And may all of them, without any exception, be free from suffering and attain enlightenment and liberation from samsara. Thank you very much for listening.